Hey you, and welcome. In this video, we will write our own custom hooks in React. So let's dive right into it. I'll start with a simple example first, and then we'll take it to the next step later. Simple example would be, remember how we called use context to get the logs context and then pass it or destructure the add log and call that? Well, there's a simpler way to make it more reusable so that we don't have to remember to import twice. One from React where we get the use context and the other time from logs provider to get the logs context. So how do we do that? First thing first, let's structure our hooks. Usually when I start using my custom hooks, I create a hooks folder in my file explorer. So I'm going to start with that right now. In file explorer, right on the same level as components. So under SRC, I will start creating a new folder and call it hooks. And under hooks, I will create a new hook, call it use logs.ts. Doesn't have to be TSX, but TS is fine. If you do, however, want to use JSX in there, then it has to be TSX. I'll just leave it at TS. And it is possible to use JSX in a custom component. All right. So I'll hide my file explorer here. I'll start by copying over some of the code from button.tsx. So I'll copy line number 7 and also let's start at line number 7. I will import use context from React manually. That's too much to copy over there. All right, so let's do that. Use context gets imported, and logs provider is not on the same level. That's why relative path is not working. We have to go up a level, and we have to, let's just fill it in again. So up a level, components, logs provider, and now we have access to everything. Perfect. So far we have done imports. Now, how do we create our own custom component? Well, you don't really have to start the name of the component with the use keyword. So in this case, use logs, but it's a convention. So I'm going to follow that convention. So I'll do export const use logs. It's going to be a function. So that's what the hooks are. They're just functions, and they will return something. And we'll figure out what it's going to return in a bit. First things first, I'm going to do is get the use context, provide a logs context, and we're going to destructure something like so. Perfect. Next thing would be, there's kind of a redundant code. Like I can write logs and add log like this and then pass it down like so, but it's duplicate code for no reason. We can simply just return what we're getting from use context, and that would be sufficient. So at this point, our custom hook is ready to use. And let's go ahead and replace our button.tsx line and the app.tsx line to start using our new hook and see if it works. So I'll go to button.tsx, I'll remove logs context, I'll remove use context, and remove, now I'm going to keep the line number 15. I will just change that to use logs, auto import that from our hooks folder, and doesn't need the context API, the context name anymore. And there we go. Perfect. Same thing on app.tsx. I will remove log context. I will remove use context, and I will start using use logs, and doesn't need the variable anymore. Save that. And if I press the button now, it's still working. All right. So that's how you create a custom component. This is a simple example of you just wrapping use context hook into another hook. And the reason for that may be you may want to create a middleware where something happens. You do want to alter the add log functionality, or you want to alter the logs variable before you pass it down to the consumer. That's a simple example there. Now the next example, I'll take it up a notch. For button.tsx, there's tons of business logic happening. I have a handle click that has about four lines of functionality. There's a style object that's been created. So button has a lot of functionality inside it. I want to abstract it, and hooks are very useful for that too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new hook, and that hook is going to provide the button with the necessary items to render itself out. And I can put that in 2 different files later on if I want. But for now, for the simplicity's sake, I'll work in the same file, and I'll say const use button props. Again, I'm using the word keyword use in the beginning. Doesn't have to be there, just a convention I'm following. Hook is a function, so I start a function, and it will return something. Usually it's an object, so I'll just put it like that. And I'll do use button like so. Now we can also call other hooks inside hooks. So I can just copy paste that use logs line and keep the add log as is. Now let's move handle click over to our hook and notice what's going wrong. So right now is toggled is something that button keeps track of. So I'm going to move that up as well as the context here, right there, use state. So that error is gone. On clicked. Okay, so that's a prop that the button gets. We need to pass that to the hook. So hook, when you create a custom hook, you can also provide it as many parameters as you want. In this case, I'll just say pass on click down to use button props, and then use button prop can expect that as a parameter, and it will be a type of function which returns nothing. In this case, onClick is exactly that. Oh, but it's complaining new value. So we need to make onClick exactly how it is on line number 5. So I'll copy that, paste. This is another area where now we can create TypeScript type, make it so that it's reusable. So I'll start with type onClick equals to, I think I already have it copied. Pressing too many keys. All right, right there. So I'll just say you are type of onClick, and you are also a type of onClick, like so. All right, great. So that's working. Handle click seems like it's going to work for us. So I'll pass that down. I do need to pass down more stuff because I will be removing use logs. I will remove the toggle state. I will remove the entire handle click. And it seems like we need handle click from the hook. So I'll destructure that out. Handle click. That's one error gone. Next one is toggled, and also the style is coming from the state as well. So I will abstract the whole style out. And I will destructure style from the hook, which is not being passed down just yet, but I'll just optimistically create that code and go back to my hook, and I'll start a new const, call it style. Oops, it has to be an object. Paste the style that we had before and pass this down like so. So if I save it, everything should just work as is. I'll just refresh my page to make sure, and there we go, still working. So we used hook to abstract the business logic out of the component. So component can only do the styling and rendering portion, and the hook can handle the business logic of how to make things work. All right, I'll see you all in the next video.